ready. Let's do this. Hello and welcome, disc golfers, to the Hitting the Line podcast. I am your host, Jad, and I am with a new guest today as my brother Nas is not here. He's on a slight mini vacation. So we have a special guest today. I am joined by John. Is it Fiveash? Is that how it's pronounced?
Fiveash. Mm-hmm. Yep, that's correct.
John Fiveash, father of Noah Fiveash, who is currently on the DGPT. And so he will be where we are going to be studying our lines this week. He is it's Tyler, Texas. Is that correct? For the Texas State Championships this weekend. So, John, how long has Noah been playing? How did you guys get into disc golf? And what brings you to this podcast today?
I found the podcast and the disc golf discussion board and just was cruising through and seeing this cool looking hat. And I was like, dude, that is the coolest looking hat I've ever seen. And next thing you know, I was like checking it out. And next thing you know, I'm ran down this rabbit hole. And then I'm paying $20 in on in fantasy disc golf. And I've never done anything. I've never even bet anything in my entire life before. And won $100, and I was like, "Oh, that is awesome, dude!" I was like, and so I've been collecting disc golf knowledge. My son's been playing competitively for about 3 years. We full time. Before that, I've been playing since '96, and so my kids would do it, and we would only play like once a month because they were baseball players. And I used to run a Facebook. My Facebook page is the Disc Golf Caddie Daddy Chronicles, and I write about his. I'm a writer. I love to write, and so I used to have a Facebook page called the Crazy Baseball Dad. And so we were baseball players, and we'd only play disc golf once a season, maybe for 1 month, and then we'd put it down, and then we would just joke around with it. And then my son started falling in love with it his junior year. And at that time, he was on a bunch of elite baseball teams playing travel ball and looking to be recruited by colleges and things like that. And then he decided to drop it all and kind of live that Paul Macbeth life that he talks about. And went and started doing. And last year was his first full-time year. In fact, I just got the 1 year notice on Facebook today saying that I posted about this last year, talking about Texas State. He went out there last year, was so nervous, couldn't even hold the disc. It slipped out of his hand at the time, laid an egg. But eventually they had a good season, made the USDGC, had a couple 15s, earned his tour card. And this past couple weeks, he's learning at the School of Texas Winds. And he's been spending a lot of time on the putting green, trying to figure out how to putt inside the Texas Wind, because being from North Carolina up in the mountains, we're wood golfers, and he's a power woods player. And so he has almost like a Calvin Hybrid type game where he's very good at hitting gaps with power. And so, And so anyways.
Totally. Yeah. Dude, that's so awesome. And I've seen that the name Fiveash so many times, like on UDisc or whenever I'm looking at scores, but I've never been able to put a face to it until I looked him up today. And so you had hit me up on Facebook Messenger, like, hey, where can we talk about this stuff? Where can we talk about lines? And I said, well, actually, by the way, I do need a guest this week. So that's why we've got you here today.
Man. I appreciate it a whole lot. It's
absolutely.
Good. I get to show how nerd out I become because,
dude, that's what it is. That's what the show has become. Like, me and my brother we literally made it last year halfway through the season. I mean, all we did all day was once we learned about Prize Picks and that they're taking would they take disc golf? I mean, because I'm huge into poker, huge into fantasy football, and what do you mean somebody's taking disc golf betting lines? And so we just literally text back and forth all day about it. And we're like, well, if we're gonna be doing this, why don't we actually talk about it? So if we're gonna talk about it, why not put a mic to our face? So nerding out about it is just the best, and I love doing it, and it's just awesome that it's come this far. I mean, it's not anything special, but it's just cool to have someone like you, somebody with experience and is willing to give a shit, So I enjoy it.
What I want to know is the fantasy side, because I've never really have played the odds of the fantasy. Right now I'm doing things like I'm having fun trying to hit those big those big 5 picks where you choose 3 over or 2
Yeah.
under and just
Oh,
mix
like
it
the
like that.
12X
Try to
ones or
get those
whatever. Yeah.
220 picks. And so
Yeah.
I've been having fun doing those where I've thought to myself, you know what, if I just pick these 3 people and do a power play on it, then I could just get this guaranteed money because that how much work that these guys have been putting in. You see the weakness in their game, how they improved it this week, and how they're going to play above their line, play above their average, and they're almost like a guaranteed pick, and you just take that $80 and run. But maybe this week I might do that, but usually I try to get greedy and
Okay.
no, I have a feeling that this guy's just going to lay an egg today, and this guy's going to just shred, and so I don't know.
Cool.
I was
Cool.
wondering
Okay.
how do you usually do it?
Go
Do
ahead.
you usually do 5 flex, 4 pick, 3? How do you usually roll?
So it all depends on the week. It depends on how confident I am that week. Like I said, last week I thought it was so obvious in round 2 that the unders were all a smash, and I just did as many 5-pick flex all unders as I could, even though it was only 8x. So you don't have Twitter, do you?
No, I don't. I need to get on Twitter.
So on my
I'm an
Twitter,
old
I
man.
posted it. I hit 5-pick flexes last week. It was the most incredible week. I only played $50 last week and made like 320. It was incredible. So so it just depends on the week, if it's a week where so like, for example, I mean, we'll get into it. This is a brand new course that we're playing. So there's not a lot of history. It's kind of speculation. So I know round 1, I'm going to play relatively conservative. I'm going to play less power plays because I'm less confident. I'm going to play more flex plays, probably more it just depends all on confidence. So like, I'll probably just play some 2-pick flexes, see what the scores look like round 1, and then try to adjust round 2. And it's always really interesting to see, like how we were talking about before, like what prize picks, how they adjust to potentially the weather, or there's even some other things to take note when it comes to prize picks, is that like, especially in Texas, when the weather can change so drastically, a lot of those early tee times, the weather might be better or worse before some of those later tee times. And those are things to take into consideration too.
Right.
Like last week, the winds were picking up all day as the day progressed. So we knew some of those lead cards, like Chris Dickerson, was not going to shoot his under because his wind was going to be pushing 18, 20 miles an hour. But when they first went out there, like when Kevin Jones, because he shot the 2 bad rounds, he had like a 9 a.m. tee time, winds were at like 5 miles per hour. So it all just depends on the week and who I'm feeling and how prize picks is adjusted. But yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. I was wondering, I watch the wind in the morning time and those morning hour by hour weather. And then I'll make some phone calls. And if I'm not on site, I'll make phone calls in just to find out how strong that wind is. And that Texas wind is just it's a different, it's hard to explain, but it's just a different monster. It's
Totally.
weird. It's weird.
And so before we jump into the nitty gritty, I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors. I think it's really cool that you actually discovered us through one of our sponsors. You've seen the hat that my brother was wearing. That was Till Death Disc Golf. So shout out to Till Death Disc Golf. And then, of course, Prize Picks. And last but not least, who am I missing here? Oh, no, Dark Ace Apparel. Shout out Dark Ace Apparel. If you like metal and disc golf, check Dark Ace Apparel out.
So I got some Dark Ace Apparels.
Nice.
I like dark. Yeah,
nice.
I enjoy those guys, man. They have some interesting socks, and so I have some.
Yeah, my brother is the metal guy. I won't pretend that it's me. Although I'll listen, I'll headbang a little bit, but I don't know all the bands and stuff like that.
I'm a skater punk, so but hey, I'll adopt the metal.
I kind of thought maybe you might have been. So like I said, I was creeping, looking up your son and stuff. So let's get into that. So your son started playing, you said competitively, seriously, about 3 years ago?
Yeah, about 3 years ago he started. And then last year, he was his first year. He went out and tried some Disc Golf Pro Tour events. And then
he just jumped right into it, huh?
Yeah, he just jumped right into it. He just decided that if you're going to be the best, play with the best. And he's out there like learning. So, for example, like this past week, he's been out there a lot with Gannon Burr, working on the putting greens with him, and really just working on more spin, more pop on his putter, so he'll hold up into the wind a little better. And he's just out there just drinking in the knowledge. And sometimes he's kind of like one of those AB Adam Hammies picks kind of guys Some days he'll shred to a 1060, and some days it's a 930. It's a live and die
Totally.
kind of way. And then
Totally.
sometimes he'll put together some good rounds. And so he's young, he's still learning the consistency. And
How
so
old?
he's 20.
Cool. Very
Yeah.
cool. So he is one of the young guns out on
Yeah,
tour. That's
he's one of
awesome.
the young guns. He throws way over 500 feet and
Oh,
can hit
snap.
lines. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. So
Nice.
those guys
Yeah.
are they smash disc. You're sitting there, you watch them in practice, and they're just smashing disc, and it just looks like a totally different game when someone like my wife and I go out and play, which
Literally.
she beats me most of the time. So
Man, I'm still trying to figure out that 500 power thing. I've been playing for about 12 years now. Since I was like 14ish, my brother took me out for the first time, and I still have yet to like peak over 470. So I don't know if it's because I didn't learn the muscle memory quick enough. Because I mean, when I started playing, I'm sure you can say the same thing, as we didn't have the Jomez and stuff to look off of online and try to figure out what good form looked like. We were out at the course and we look at other people who are on the course and like, oh, that dude looks better than me. How is he doing that? And
yeah,
that's
exactly.
how it was. And you might have read an X Step forum online or something, or if you were lucky, you had one of those Clash DVDs. But there
Mhm.
wasn't really a way to like learn how to figure out what was good.
Yeah,
So I don't know if it's because of muscle memory or if it's just because I'm not as athletic as I think I am.
yeah,
But yeah, I don't have that 500 power, and watching people do that is mind blowing. And it's
yeah,
crazy that people like Paul Macbeth and them figured it out early. Like, I mean, they figured that out. Like, I mean, of course, you can model after Ken Climo and this and that, but like I said, like you didn't have anything to study. They just figured it out. So
Mhm.
it's just incredible. Whole different game, like you said.
We were lucky because in our area in Western North Carolina, we have our club, Western North Carolina Club, and it's a humongous club. And Noah was able to homeschool him one year to have like an enrichment year with him and kind of like just teach him that he's more than a test and teach him how to think outside
There
the
you go.
box and critical thinking, stuff like that. And so we held out him a year. And for PE, we went out and played at the club. And I'd been a member of our club for a long time. And, I was a little sketchy about bringing him out there because, our disc golf club is definitely we have a lot of good times out there on the golf
Totally.
course, and he was a young kid, and so I brought him on what they call Wednesday morning dubs. The Wednesday morning they call the slacker dubs, the guys who don't work, and
Yeah.
they taught him how to throw out there. And they gave him light flippy disc, and they showed him form, and they helped him out. And there was a bunch of people who were in his corner out here inside of our club. And so from there, he was able to compete every night because we have an event, a club event every night of the week. And he was able just to kind of like get out there and just start. He was playing every night against these guys, and
Yeah.
just going out there and just competing. And then from there, he's his goal is to be a world champ one day. So we'll see what happens.
Dude, I'm praying on it. That'd be so
Yeah,
dope.
it would be.
Praying on it.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into the Texas State Championships and how it might relate to our Prize picks.
Yes.
As we're talking right now, Prize Picks for the first time just put up some prop bet lines, so I imagine they're getting all their stuff together right now. We're only seeing hole 7 prop bets with 4 people. We'll see what the lines look like. Even though the lines aren't up right now, so it is a brand new course. I don't think either of us have said that yet. We might have. It's a brand new course. They're calling it the Thorn. It's essentially a mix between the other 3 courses
Mhm.
that were there. So what insight might you have for us being in contact with Noah this week about the Thorn, how it might play, what a hot score might sound like, or what the average score might sound
I
like?
got you. Um, Last night I was able to talk to him on kind of a conference call and was able to talk to a few other of the disc golfers there. Um, the Thorn was a design, it's a Greg Barsby design. He took the 3 courses out there, combined them together, and took the best of the best and has made a safari like course out there. And what Noah's saying is that it's definitely going to be for the 500 plus thrower boys. There's because if you're not throwing 500 plus, you're going to miss about 8 birdies out there. And you're going to need that power. So it's going to be a power game this week. It's going to be an initial gap hitting power game. So initial gaps, throw it up in there, kind of like Calvin Heimberg would be a good
That's
pick
what I was
this
just thinking.
this week. Yeah, and one of those good gap hitters. Mika is going to be a really good because he's going to flex to those lines. There's plenty of room to work the disc out there. lots of room to fly and control. So they're saying it's a combined of a Waco and a combine of Belton. And so what I've done
That makes
in my
sense.
picks is I've combined the two and see who was doing the best and what was going on at the time, and adding that together, because you do have some tricky wood par threes, but man, listen, these numbers are crazy right here. You have, let's see, you have 480, 470, 460. I mean, you got some big par threes out there. And so they were saying that circle two putting is going to be a big must this week. And so that gives you good lines with people like, look to see if people like Brody is on in the circle two. So go check out their circle two percentage, because that's where he makes up a lot of good strokes. He's usually in ninth to 10th place most of the time. And so you're going to see a lot of circle two. So Kevin Jones is going to be a good pick out there. And then who else is good at circle two? Ezra. So if you're looking at Ezra, and so it's a good throwers course, and so you're going to look to see if he's going to be a good pick this week. Just look at his C1 after the first round and see if he's hitting circle one, and don't worry about his putting, because if he's hitting C1, he's usually parking things. His putting is always bad, but
Ezra.
Yeah, I'm unfortunately.
I can agree with that. He went.
I mean, you can look at his. I mean, not to talk bad about him or anything, but he's like at 116th in the putting, C1, 114th C1. I mean, that's where he lives.
He went 50% round 3 last week from my Twitter. So I had one last week. I won round 1. I won round 2, and then round 3, because I was ready to take my W and move on to this week. I only did one 3-pick flex on the last day. Kevin Jones under smash, Brody under got there, and the other one was Ezra, and I missed it by a half a stroke or a stroke, and it's because he went 50% C1. And I'm like, oh, brutal. But it's still won money because it was a flex play, so it was
right.
Nice.
I went Brody over, and that's where I lost my 5-pick flex play on the last round. I was just thinking that the wind kicking up would mess them up. One of the things that the inside knowledge that I've gotten, like with these people when they're switching these new discs, if the wind kicks up really high, that's when they have problems with their disc.
Okay.
Now, Katrina Allen actually, smacked me down, I think, at Waco on that last day, because she shredded.
Totally.
She shredded on the side that wind.
But she did not play well at all the first 2 rounds.
No, she didn't. And so I went ahead, and she made me lose a nice flex pick. That was a 220 pick. But so usually what happens when they switch this is what my son was saying, because he switched to Gateway in the middle this past season.
Is he throwing all Gateway?
Pretty much. He still has 2 discs that he's working out, which Dave lets them have a couple discs inside their bag. So he still has a couple discs.
And Gateway always has, even in the past, even Nico was throwing like Firebirds and stuff back in the day. Mm-hmm. What is he putting with? A Wizard, Warlock, Magic?
Oh, yeah, Wizard. Here. Yeah. This is his
Wizards. Nice.
This is his tour disc.
Is there anywhere that we could purchase one of those, or anybody watching, or myself?
Yeah. We post them up on my Facebook page on the Caddy Daddy Chronicles, and then of course his signature disc this year is going to be the Devil Hawk. And
is that an approach
before
disc?
He went to Gateway, he was a Berg thrower, and he was when he got into the Kansas wins last year, that got it ripped over, and so he went with. He found this disc, and man, this like revolutionized his game, because it's basically throwing a baseball. It has no flight in it. It goes. It guaranteed it is stable. When you break one in, you can get a little bit of flight out of it, but it's good. He can smash on this. It's not going anywhere past 250 feet, right? And it's
just those are nice because you don't have to tempo down.
Do I?
So discs like that are nice because you don't have to tempo down, so you can just keep your groove going.
Yeah. So, so that was pretty. I'm not sure how we got around that rabbit hole, but
well, so in terms of scores, Brody initially said on one of his podcasts this week that he doesn't think anybody will shoot a 10 down, but we're thinking the shred score is probably a 10 down, I would imagine. And then I said I think maybe a 7 is a good score after watching. So him and Ezra did a practice round on YouTube. If you really want to get a feel of the course, I recommend checking that out, especially if you're going to do the prop bet on Prize Picks for hole 7. Check that out to help you make your decision. What do you think is going to be a good score? Maybe a rating? We always like to look at the 1030s, the 1060s. Those are usually good measurements for when we're picking our overs and unders.
We're thinking what everybody was saying last night, because we polled everyone they had a big cookout last night, the guys did, and we polled everyone last night.
Cool.
And they're saying average 6-8, between a 6 and an 8.
Okay.
8 is going to be on the really good side. 6 is going to be on that side. You're going to see a lot of people line up. So you're looking at your 10, 20, 10, 30s lining up right in there. Good round double digits, 10.
Okay.
Is what he's thinking. That's going to be shredding. That's going to be shredding.
And I thought that too. I thought that watching it on YouTube as well. Like I said, watching that practice round, I thought it was very scoreable. There is some OB. How much does OB come into play? Because I know they're going to have some artificial OB. Like you said, the birdies are tough to get, but it's very attackable. What's the OB situation like? Do you know?
It's fair. They're saying that it's real fair. It's not as tight. You still have to control your shots. You're going to have to hit your gaps. Think about the landings. A lot of the baskets are close to the rows and to a lot of OBs, and so you're going to end up with a lot of circle 2 putting going on. He's saying that that's going to be the game this week. A lot of circle 2. So when the wind kicks up on Sunday, you could watch that wind, watch the hour by hour, see who's going to have the worst wind, and judge your base off of that. And then, let's see. Yeah, I mean, OB seems fair. I think Brody and them are judging it off the wind. If the wind kicks up, it becomes a very, very hard course.
Right.
So it's a wind-dependent course.
Yeah.
And so it's all judged. It's all dependent. So that first day, see, here's how nerd out I am. On the practice day, on Monday, Tuesday, Monday was a washout day with the tornadoes. They were able to get a practice round in, but it was in heavy wind. And the nice thing about that wind, it was a west-northwest wind. And they practiced in another heavy northwest-northwest wind on Tuesday. And they're going to practice in a medium northwest wind today. And then it's going to lighten up, same wind, west-northwest. And then Friday, hardly no wind, but it's still going to be the same west-northwest wind. And so they're going to shred on Friday. They're going to shred that course because they've all been in practice. They're all out there making their $5 bets, and they're all out there throwing money around, and they're all out there trying, they've been playing this hard course. And then on Friday, it's going to release. It's going to let these guys shred that day. And then Saturday, it actually switches into a south wind slightly. And then on Sunday, it's going to be a wind that no one has practiced. It's going to be a high wind. And so Sunday is going to be one of those days that that you're going to see. And I would go mostly over. And that would be a fun day probably to pick that 5 flex where you're going 3-2, see somebody who might shred the wind. And definitely like take someone like a Paul Macbeth and a Calvin Heimberg maybe. Usually he's good in the wind, but and then go over with someone like a Ricky because the new disc and the wind. I mean, you can see it plain as day. When the wind's up, he's having problems with his disc. When the wind's down, he's shredding with his disc. And so same as Dickerson. When the wind's down, he's shredding with his disc because he's been practicing. I mean, he's been practicing. Personally seen it. That guy practices hard. But when the wind's up, you can't replicate that. And so they're having problems still adjusting in the wind. And so that would be a good overpick on a Sunday too.
Totally.
But
and so we don't have the women's lines to look at yet. I know the women's layout is pretty much way different. Do we have any beta on that at all? I'm not sure.
The women are really complaining right now. They're upset. The course is super long for them. You've heard a lot of complaints online, and the people that I've talked to, they were really looking forward to coming into those woods and getting into those woods because it kind of equalizes the big 4 off.
Totally.
And so it's going to be scary. I don't know. I'm not going to mess with them on the first day because I have no idea where their lines are going to fall.
Totally. And that's usually how FPO is. And they actually usually only give us a few of the women for that reason. Like you're lucky if you get Paige, Kristen Tatar, and Katrina Allen. Usually that's all they'll give you. And even the men, they've kept out some people this year. I'm not sure what the deal is with Prize Picks right now, but like we weren't really getting any Anthony Barellas. We were getting that last year. Of course, but now we're getting Gannonburg. Anyways, we're getting into the weeds. How about real life predictions outside of Prize Picks? If you have to pick someone not named Noah, who's gonna win this weekend?
I always pick Noah on all my
I picked him on my. So, do you play Skip Ace at all?
Yes, I pick him on every one of my Skip Ace things, man. He's been like, it's not been a good week.
I picked up Noah this week today on Skip Ace.
Hey, that
since
might be
that's
a good pick this week. I believe it's a good pick. This course plays for him, so he might get you a top 50 somewhere in this.
Well, because I mean, the thing is on Skip Ace, in my opinion, the best strategy, because you really want to get somebody who takes first. It's a big advantage to go so like in fantasy football we call it stars and scrubs lineup. So I believe the same thing for Skip Ace, that it's a big advantage to go stars and scrubs. Not that Noah's a scrub, but
but he's a 1,000 rated player. Right, I got you.
Yeah, he's got the lower rating. So if I want to afford somebody with a high rating, I picked Noah this week. So
cool.
We'll see how that works out. No pressure.
No pressure.
But gun to your head, who's gonna take it home this week?
Oh man, it's hard to pick against Ricky because he's won Texas State every time he's been
a million
there.
times. Yeah,
that's an interesting stat I seen today on Facebook and on Instagram. And so I think the wind's going to stay down, and so I think he would be a good pick. But it's hard to pick against Paul, who's in form right now.
So hard. Man, he's so in form. He is so in form.
He's just shredding right now, and that circle 2 putting is going to be really big this week. And if he gets that circle 2 going, man, he's just dangerous, and he's going to be hard to deal with. And so it'll be, it's going to. They made it. They want to see the battle, and you're going to see that battle. You might see a GG kick up in there, and because he's going to be a good pick if they throw him out there. Hopefully,
yeah.
I think he's going to have a good week. I wouldn't mess with him on Sunday due to his hyzer.
Do you know about any of his data for putting right now? Because I've never been a fan of his putting, but he is actually. It seems like he's still been placing okay. Seems like he's playing okay.
Where he excels at is in C1. C1 in Las Vegas, he was 5th, and C1.
Wow.
In regulation. So he's hitting 5th. So he's throwing the disc. So you can tell when he's throwing the disc well. It's really interesting when you watch the data, because it's like if you're throwing the disc really close to the basket, you don't have to putt very well. The problem is usually his putt stats will go down because he's got so many more chances at birdie than everyone else. And
That's
so it's the same way with Ezra. And so you look at Ezra and you're like, man, how in the world is this guy in the top 20 with 103 putting stats? You see him, and he's still in the top 25, 30, and he's cashing every week with 103 inside the putting. It's because he's throwing, so he throws the disc and gets it into the circle, and he has a whole lot more chances at birdie than everyone else. Same with GG.
Definitely.
So he went 33rd in C1 putting over in Las Vegas. And let's see.
This is Ezra?
No, this is GG. And then GG went
okay.
69th in putting in Waco. And of course, he got the food poisoning the night before. And, Belton and dropped.
Oh, I'm curious. I'm not sure if you'd have this answer. I'm curious if because he got food poisoning, he ended up just going to Tyler early and practicing.
Man,
is he dating Jessica Weiss?
Yeah, he stayed back and hung out.
So he must have stayed. Yeah,
he stayed back and hung out.
Something like that.
Yeah,
totally. I would imagine.
He just posted on his Instagram I think today that he just started getting practicing, and so I think it looked like it was yesterday he started because the weather didn't look good. So it looked like yesterday he got in and started practicing on Tuesday.
Okay. Real life picks outside of Paul and Ricky. I'm gonna go Calvin. I agree. I looking at the course today. It just seemed like if you have a long tunnel shot, it seemed like you have a huge advantage. Some of those par 4s, it's like, it might only be 700-800 feet, but the first 300 feet are straight uphill, and then you have to throw to a guarded basket that's has some OB like road by it or this or that. I'm gonna go with Calvin since I don't want to pick Ricky or Paul, but I would take Ricky if you put a gun to my head too.
Right.
But so what about women? How do you feel about the FPO this year? Any takes? Any takes period about FPO this week or this year in general?
I like how Katrina Allen has come out and showed off.
She's balling.
Yeah, everybody was talking about everyone else, and she was like, "Hey, what about me, people? Check this out."
Dude, she is balling.
I've definitely used her a lot in my examples towards my son about her work ethic, because you got to respect that, because she is definitely not fake. She's a grinder. And so that's been interesting. This week, I would definitely, if Paige, like I said, the first day I would stay away from the FBO picks, but if Paige is shredding, then of course she's a great one to pick, because
it's definitely her style
on Sunday. Yeah, it's definitely her style, of course. This is basically what she grew up playing. And so I'm thinking that she had a week off and she's coming out. She just got done with some family time. And just like, just off the subject real quick, the Kyle Klein, I would start picking him too. He started
Dude,
off
I'm the biggest Kyle Klein fan.
Well, he started off the season. He just bought a brand new van for one of my buddies. And so here he is, he's a young kid with a brand new van, living with his girlfriend. Everything is brand new to him. So he was, working out his living arrangements and figuring out how to process through everything the first couple of tournaments. And then he's spending a lot of time on the putting green, and you could tell because he's on point right now. So he would definitely be a great pick. But back to the women, of course, it's going to be hard to tell just because, like we said, we don't know what to expect off this course. You can never go wrong. You definitely want to pick big bombers, stay away. It's definitely going to be a big separation again between the fourth, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then basically there's another tournament. It's almost like those what's that show, Formula One? It's almost like, okay, we got 4 people that are going to be serious competitive this week, and then the rest of then there's a whole nother tournament on top of the female tournament, which would be interesting.
Totally.
To break that down and be like, okay, so who's going to be 5th? Because that's
who's your favorite? Who is your favorite 5th place woman this year? Then let's talk about that, because I think there's some good new faces.
D Carey. I have to go with D Carey because that's my son.
Dan Carey.
My son lives with the Careys, so the Careys and them have a 5th wheel, and they go around. And my son rents a room out of their 5th wheel with them, and so that's
very cool.
Yeah. So
okay, so you got Dan Carey.
Poor D. That's my wife is saying in the background. She's like, poor D. She has to fit up with that. Both of them, when they have bad days on tournament, I can only imagine the yes. But anyways, him and AJ are definitely 2 interesting characters that they don't like to lose. So
okay,
what did I say? Did I say that right?
Cool.
Yes, I think I said that right. But
yeah, I think the women's and that's something we've talked about a handful of times on this podcast, is that, like you mentioned, how it's like almost like there's 2 tournaments for the women's field. But it is a really interesting time in the women's field because there is a lot more people that's competitive for that 5 spot. You've got Kat Murch, Maria Oliva made a push this past week. Kona's falling off, but she's still got that in her range.
Right.
That spot is really interesting because it seems like each week in the FPO it shuffles. Valerie Manduhano officially made herself like, hey, I'm here and I'm here to stay. And then her sister shot the hot round 1 at Belton. So it's that 5th place spot that you talk about in FPO.
Yeah,
it's getting very competitive, and that's where the new contracts are going to be signed, or who are those girls that are getting to that 5th place spot.
Right. You're seeing these courses like a Waco and its Belton courses kind of like give the full advantage to these big power players. And you're seeing these medium power players, I call them, the people who are still young. You're talking about a lot of young girls there that eventually in another couple of years, I believe, are going to be shredding and getting better form and going to have the distance. Like you said, that whole gap is starting to come in with the Kat Murches and the Valeries and all those.
Yeah.
And so Kat's really shredding right now too. She's a
Kat Murch.
Yeah, she's shredding.
Dude, I can't stop talking about her on my Twitter right now. She she can score so damn well. She just has she takes a lot of bogey strokes, but she scores. She takes as many birdies as the best of them. So I've been saying look out for Cat Merch to finally make that jump.
You're
It'll
right.
be interesting to see what happens.
She's getting a lot of good practice in right now with Nico and that whole crew. And she's
Definitely.
learning a really good work ethic. That crew has an excellent work ethic and they
Yeah.
work hard. And so she's learning how to work hard on her game. And so you can really tell. And
Yeah.
it's looking good.
That's really cool. Well, John, I think that's going to do it from us.
Cool, man. I appreciate it. It's the first time I've ever done anything like this.
Yeah, and I think we can definitely look forward to having you on in the future as well.
Yeah, let me know.
Again, for the viewers or listeners who weren't there for the season opener, I'm going to be leaving in about a month. I'll be doing my first season of Fight and Fire for the Forest Service. So Nasser is going to need some guests throughout the rest of the year, and I'm sure we'd love to have you on again. Getting that beta, getting that insight, getting that nerd talk going. It's definitely valuable.
Yeah. Watch that practice week, guys. That practice week tells a lot. If that practice week's a good week and that wind's going good and they're practicing that same, you see that weather is going to be the same on that Friday, man, go with those unders. Go with those unders. They're going to definitely shred.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. But
John,
man, I appreciate
John, is there
go ahead.
Well, is there anything else that you would like to shout out? Maybe so you had mentioned that Noah's got some merch on your Facebook page. Is there anywhere where we can find you or find Noah?
I need to shout out all the sponsors.
Yeah.
Okay, give me 1 second.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let's
all
do that.
All right. I'm sorry. Shout out to Gateway,
Go for
of course. Gateway Disc. Get yourself a Devil Hawk and a Spirit. The Spirits are holding up good in the wind right now. We want to shout out to Revolution Disc Golf, which is the Carolina team bag. Noah has his own bag, which is kind of cool. Like he gave Scott Stokely and Julie Kamara, and Noah Fiveash has the OG high price disc golf bags, Revolution disc golf bag. He has black and white checkerboard, has his logo on there, which is his Fiveash checkerboard logo, which is this logo right here is on the bag. Whoop.
Very cool.
Pointed the wrong way. My dyslexia is kicking in. And shout out to them and shout out to Disc Golf Duds, which is our local company who helps us with marketing and doing shirts. And he has like a clothing line. So shout out to them. And so we couldn't.
And we can find all that on your Facebook page, you said?
Yeah, my Facebook page. Follow me. I'm John Fiveash, spelled out Fiveash. I'm the Caddy Daddy Chronicles. I write about my son, and I also have Old Fat Man Skateboard Stories, which I post some stuff of me skateboarding every once in a while. And
very cool.
Definitely a cool Facebook page. I have no political, none of that weird stuff. And so it's nothing but disc golf and skateboarding. And so if you're into that, if you want to see a fat guy on a skateboard, which who doesn't love seeing a fat guy on a skateboard, and then following my son on the Disc Golf Pro Tour, come and check me out. And then, of course, I'm nerding out on this prize pick stuff. And so I've been talking about that a little bit. And so my family probably thinks I'm crazy, but hey.
Aren't we all?
Yes, we are. But other than that,
all right, John.
Appreciate it, dude.
Dope. Yeah, absolutely. It was a joy having you on. Definitely look forward to doing it in the future.
Definitely.